Good morning. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. How's everybody doing? I'm Victoria Lorien Fabish, and it's a pretty mildish day in Toronto, which is very wonderful. I'm just doing a little bit of sharing, and I'd love you to join me on the journey of courageous conversations. And I'd like to talk a little bit about love and how love might affect how difficult times in love are impacting the future. But first, I'm going to share because sharing is caring, and I'd really like people to join me on the journey of talking about their very difficult times during love, but at the same time, being jaded, and they don't have to do that, and they can do something different. So let me just do a little share. The thing about the thing about courageous conversations is that the more you have them with yourself, the more you are likely to have them again and again. And that is, to me, very, very, very important. And in this day and age where we are essentially, hi everyone that's joining. Hi Bethany. Hi Bethan. Sorry, and Andrew. Didn't have my glasses on. I'm just doing a little sharing, by the way, before we go forward in life, so that you can, be joined, so we can all be joined by a community of people interested in the same thing, which is courage, authenticity, being a badass in life. Doing a little bit of sharing here, and when I finish sharing, I'm going to begin my journey of really digging into this topic, which I troubleshooted the topic with our dear Andrew King. Thank you so much for that. And when people have a topic that they want to talk about, I love to hear about that. All right, here we go. Almost there. Thank you, Andrew. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. I am now sharing it on a couple of different groups. Positive People Army, my group, Courageous Conversations, which is a closed group, which I'd love you to join. It's a support group. It's also closed so that you can be a little bit more yourself if you need to be. And also, it's a way to have people join us on the journey of this experience, which is, this experience of life can be kind of troubling and challenging and all of those things. But at the same time, glorious to me. No risk, no reward. No risk, no reward. All right, I did some sharing. Okay. So let's just talk a little bit about, one of the things I encounter a lot in my office are people who come in with obviously a lot of not only traumas from childhood, but relational traumas, relationship stuff. They met someone who cheated on them. They met someone who they weren't deeply in love with, and they were commitment phobic, and they took them right to the altar and then, disappeared. This is the kind of stuff that, or someone who was highly narcissistic and controlled them. Someone who was extremely, not only controlling, but, hi Daniel, not only controlling, but also putting them down, manipulating them. There's a lot of trauma and wounding that can occur in relationships. And the wounding, if I can just be clear, is also a perspective. It might be not actual wounding. It might be something that people are ingesting and seeing it as such. So they may feel controlled, but they aren't controlled. They may feel put upon, but they aren't. But the person might be dishing out some crap, but they're taking it on, as opposed to drawing the boundaries or saying no. Or they're in a relationship because they don't want to be alone, and that's always the worst reason to be in a relationship. So a lot of traumas, and I think I'm thinking of a number of case studies where people stay married for years and years and years and years, and it's so harming. And I talk about the caution ahead with the harming, because the harming causes the scarring, and the scarring causes the closing down, and then the closing down causes people to have these walls, and the walls cause people to feel isolated and lonely, and this is the kind of thing that creates problems. So you're loving your new book. Is it He's Scared, She's Scared, Andrew? The one I talked about in our conversation? Because Andrew and I had a nice conversation which yielded this interesting topic. Well, yeah, fears, commitment phobia, all of that stuff. And then the walls. The walls is what I'm talking about, because the thing that people want, I believe, and the thing that people are most well served with are relationships, I think. I think that a life with the relationships, being in community, having friends, having relationships, dating, not operating from fear constantly, I think is what yields a great old age. Because I see a dangerous old age as a very isolated, I don't want anybody in my life kind of thing. And I'm not talking about extroversion. There are many introverts who I have knowledge and information on, and people who are, very well relating because they've done some work. Hi, Linda. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see everybody. So the thing about, I'm not talking about, massive amounts of people. I'm talking about no walls. I'm talking about not letting the relationship past hurts influence the relationship future experiences. That is, I guess, what I'm really, really talking about. There's such a powerful thing that occurs when people make conclusions that to be in a relationship, I will be unsafe, because they've made that conclusion elsewhere in another past relationship. But the reality is they just didn't learn proper rules of engagement within a relationship. They didn't learn how to draw boundaries. They didn't learn how to say no, be themselves, risk making sure they take care of themselves. All of these things. To me, the trauma relationships occur because people don't do what is tough, which is speak up, say no, say yes only when you want to, not allow, recognize when someone is toxic for them and let go of them. They're not taking care of themselves. So they come to a therapist's office like mine, sort of ravaged. And that ravaging creates the walls. And then it's like, chip on your shoulder. No effing way I want anyone in my life. This jadedness, stingy with their love. I'm going to just make you work for that love. It's like, listen, the truth of the matter is that when we put out love, we get love. But we got to have the putting out of love in a foundation of healthy boundaries, healthy selfhood. So it's like, really work the foundation of healthy love, healthy self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-worth, self-advocacy. All of those things are an amazing, and really feel like you have a right to that. And then come to the table and get back in the dating world or the relationship world so that you can enjoy. And if the person doesn't want it or like it, they're not for you. They are not for you. Jennifer says, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Exactly. Who said that? Did you say that? Coin it if you did. It's true. So the thing, and also the love you put out is going to be the same vibration of the love you take in. And when you take in love, make sure that you're taking... Oh, the Beatles said that. Okay, thank you. Make sure that the love that you're taking in is love that honors you, that respects you. A lot of us grew up in homes in which the commodities on offer were self-loathing, self-shame, self-criticism, non-acceptance of self. Those were the commodities on offer in the family of origin for many of us. And so you need new commodities to offer yourself. That you need to commit to that. Nobody's going to do it for you. And that's the other thing I find that people really, really operate from. If they were abandoned in childhood, or they were abandoned in their... usually people who have experienced abandonment in childhood will attract someone that will abandon them in their relationship. And then that'll be a pattern of abandonment, which will create a lot of jadedness within them. All right. And so what will occur, what will sadly occur, will be that they will become very blaming of other people, not doing for them. They'll come to the table with an empty vessel, there'll be an empty cup, and they'll be expecting others to fill that cup. Fill it, fill it, fill it, fill it. And unfortunately, the filling is not the other person's responsibility. And yeah, Jennifer is exactly right. A big piece, she says, I feel a big piece of this is feeling that you deserve to be loved. Yeah. And that is work you got to do on you. Because nobody can love you into feeling like you deserve to be loved. You know what I mean? Nobody can convince that in you. And we have what we tolerate. We have what we tolerate. People, why do they tolerate? Because they're afraid. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of breaking up the family. They're afraid of, there's a lot of self-doubt, and that self-doubt makes them not make good decisions. So, well, maybe I'm the wrong one. Maybe I'm the bad one. It's like, listen, really work with a therapist to look at what's really going on with you. Because if you can't see your value, someone needs to see your value. And a therapist is a good place because a therapist's job is to be unconditionally positively regarding their clients. So they're going to come to the table already with you are valuable. And then there's going to be work to really physically, in real terms, help you to experience that value. I work with couples that are so toxic, and the only solution out of there, because they're not taking the solution, they're not working with the tools to fight fairly, to be respectful of one another, no matter what I do. And I'm a good therapist, so it's like, if you're not doing that in my office, I'm promising you that this is not a relationship that you want to perpetrate on your children. Which is, my reason for being. My reason for being is, stopping the multi-generational dysfunction. And so when I perceive people with children in my office and just refusing to change their ways of toxicity, for me, it's like, this is not working. Hey, Hillary. Hey, Fernanda. Great to see you guys. I'm so happy you're here. Fernanda. I remember you, Fernanda. Great to see you. And so I would say that the courage, this is a courageous conversation. You need courage to say no and let go of relationships that you're deeming to feel and be toxic. And if you feel self-doubt about whether or not that relationship is toxic, get into some therapy and establish whether or not this is toxic. And understand and read a book. My book, Connecting, Rewire Your Relationship Culture. He's Scared, She's Scared. There's some really good books out there where you can go, okay, am I wrong here? Am I just, paranoid? Go find out if you're right or wrong on that. But no matter what, if someone is treating you without value, if someone is treating you in disdaining ways, or forget even that, that's easy to spot. The stuff that's hard to spot is someone is making you feel guilty for your value and calling you selfish for you saying no, for you taking space, for you doing what it is that makes you happy. If someone makes you feel bad for that, you want to question that relationship. But at the same time, you want to bring to the table a full vessel, a full vessel of selfhood. And that's not selfish or narcissistic. That's healthy. Newsflash, that's healthy. And then you want to bring that to a table of, thank you, Fernanda. I'm loving that you're here. I'm so glad. Bring that to the table and really, really say, I'm open for love, baby. I want love and I want to give love. And you're not going to be like with a chip on your shoulder, stingy with love. Give the love. And the love is there to have. And I'm telling you, it's like a vibration. It's a beautiful vibration when you give good love and you get that love. You will get that love in return. But you want to select well. You don't want to give that love to someone who's being, stingy themselves. Or who's, manipulating you and into feeling guilty for your self-value. Or someone who's overly controlling. All of that shit, that's got to go. But then bring to yourself a juicy love because you're juicily loving yourself. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, change the commodities on offer in your life and make those commodities all about self-worth, self-value, self-love, self-acceptance, selfhood, you know? And I promise you, and the thing I know about people is that when they're full, and I'm not talking about being, narcissistic, when they're full of self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance, self-value, unconditionality, this is what brings toward you the magnificent relationships. And, I can speak to that on, it's hard because, when we come from family of origins that are difficult, we think, and you don't do the work. And if you don't do the work, you're going to think your world view will be all relationships suck and all people are asses and, the world is full of schmuckers. But you can change the way, let me see, I got a little notification. Oh, okay, yeah. You can change the way you see the world by changing and rewiring your brain. That's why I wrote the book, Connecting. Rewire your relationship so that you're not constantly coming to the table with, yeah, they're all assholes. Yeah, it's all shit. It's all bad. Chip on your shoulder. Stingy. Stop that. And if you've been, as I have in my title, effed over by love, effed over by love, take it as some good, juicy experiencing in life. You've had some experiences. Learn from them. Grow from them. That is what I'm talking about. So if you continue the cycle, and what is the cycle? I was hurt, so I'm jaded, I have a wall, nobody deserves to be let in, you got to prove yourself before you can do, before I'm going to give you any love. It's just punishing the next person for the previous person. And that never, ever, ever works. I promise you it doesn't work. Do your work on yourself. The more you love yourself, the more, and this is cliche, but true. The more you deeply appreciate so some people are like, love, what's love? Okay, here's what it looks like. Appreciation. Self-appreciation. Self-acknowledgement. Self-acknowledgement. Those two things lead to self-value and self-worth. Pat yourself on the back for the good things you do. Give yourself internal running commentary. I'm a good person. I'm not perfect, but I really, really love myself. I really appreciate myself. I really I don't allow, people to mistreat me. If I'm looking for, you have to say these positive things within yourself. And that will start to change your external world. Don't take my word for it. That will start to change your external world. Test it out for yourself. And that essentially, hi Christine, and that essentially is what the journey that I'm talking about is all about. Don't allow those past relationships and the hurts in those past relationships. Don't be the victim. You were a participant in those past relationships. Come to the table anew, full. Do some work with a therapist. Do some work with books. Read. Expose yourself to new information. Watch videos on YouTube on self-love, self-compassion. Brene Brown has some, Daring Greatly. She talks about vulnerability, the power of vulnerability. Read, expose yourself so that you can come to the table without the past baggage and go, okay, new person, new experience. And be open. Take down those walls. Take down the walls. Ooh, the more you let those walls go, the more connection you can have, okay? And I believe this is possible. Not only do I believe it's possible, 25 years I've been doing this work, I see that it's possible. And people are doing it. So trust in what I'm saying in that regard, okay? And try it for yourself. Hey, I've got a plant growing out of my head. All right. And my orchids are back. My beautiful orchids. That means it's spring-ish coming. So I just want to encourage everyone to keep having courageous conversations with yourself, with others, and join my group, Courageous Conversations. It's a closed group of support, so I'd love to see you there. It's a great place to kind of get some community and support. And also like my page, Victoria Lori and Fabish, Courageous Conversations. My page, Courageous. I've got a couple pages, Courageous Conversations and Victoria Lori and Fabish, Courageous Conversations. All right. Have a brilliant day, everybody. I'm sending you lots of love. If you have topics that you feel are good for me to talk about, let me know. Drop me a DM, a direct message. And I just want to send you lots of courageous love and encourage you to continue to be courageous with yourself in your conversations and courageous with others. All right. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.